So it's really hard. And the same thing is true with your market research. So do as much market research as you can. Ask people on your list if you have one. You can do polls on Facebook or LinkedIn, so on like that. But the actual proof of the pudding is putting an offer out there and seeing what happens. And so because I'm going to do all this work, and then I don't know if it's going to go over well, and that's the value of doing that. But if all of those calls are stopping you from ever making an offer because it's so complicated and so time consuming, then just make an offer and see what happens, and then make adjustments as necessary. So you don't have to create a whole course before you make an offer. And this is a really important part of the reason my suggestion works. So let's say if you're doing coaching or something like that, it's going to be based on what the one-on-one coaching or even group coaching is going to be based on, what the people need. So you don't have to really create very much of anything in advance. But if you're doing a course where there are video lessons, that you feel like you have to create in advance, you can just create the first one, make the offer, and then, maybe you'll meet once a week. And so each week you're going to create the next week. And you'll actually have something out there. You actually have people and make an offer and make some sales. That's one of my first method for making income generation simpler is avoid a long, complicated process before you make the offer. Okay. So the second one is to create smaller products in a series rather than one long one. So let's say you want to create this big course. It's your life's dream, all this knowledge you've accumulated. You want to get it out to the world, but it's a pretty big course. There's a lot of knowledge there, and I speak to a lot of people like that. And so often it just takes them so long to get all that material together. And so one way that you can, so there are a couple of different things you could, like I mentioned, you can create the first lesson and then see what people need and how people react to it, and then adjust, so just basically create one a week and not feel like you have to create the whole thing in advance. But another thing that you can do is create smaller courses. And so instead of everything you wanted to know about online business, which is kind of something as a course that I have, I could create a little piece about developing your message, and another piece about building your audience, and another piece about creating your online course. And those are like these 3 pieces, and I can sell them separately, and then go from bring people from one to the other in a series. And I know somebody who teaches people about creating online businesses, and she's just created dozens of short, small. She does one a month, and she comes out with something new. She has a membership program, so each month they get something new, and she just creates these. They're pretty substantial, but none of them are like this big, huge course. And she sells them fairly inexpensively, maybe like $47 each. People who are in her membership get them for free, but she sells it first separately, and then people get it for free if they're in the membership. And so, that way you have these little pieces, and you see what people respond to and what people need. And so then you can just get a small course out instead of a bigger one. And it's another way to do that. And I actually have a product called Quick Product, something like that, Quick Product Creation. I'll put the link down below. And it's not very expensive. And it has a whole bunch of different techniques for creating short, quick products. Okay, and the third one is coming up with an upsell or a bump. I'll explain what a bump is. Not everybody knows what a bump is. It's a bump, a bump for your current offers, and that will increase your sales to some extent because it's like an add-on. So a bump is usually a little checkbox or a little checkbox or a slider that people, when they've bought something, but they haven't paid for it yet, and they're in the checkout, and there's this little add-on that says, like I have an ebook called How to Create and Sell an Ebook, and I have a bump that you get templates for it. And so it's just a little extra add-on. And so it's another way of making extra income generation kind of happen by itself. Very often, about 25% of the people, if you do your bump right, will do that. And the second thing is an upsell. So an upsell happens after people pay, and then but their credit card information is saved, so they don't have to put it in again. But the difference is that the upsell will have its own sales page, so often it's much more substantial than a bump, which you just really have like a few lines in the checkout box, and so you have an upsell, and there are lots of programs. Most shopping cart programs will help you automate an upsell so that they automatically go to the next sales page of that upsell, and then they can either buy it, or at the bottom there'll be like a no thanks, and then they just get their product, something like that. So actually it's somewhat similar to the second concept I had, is small little products that kind of come in an order, like a series of courses, sort of like a book series, a volume 1, volume 2 kind of thing. It's similar in the sense that you're making multiple offers that are related to each other, except with the bump or the upsell, you're doing it all at once, as opposed to having people go buy something, a short course, and go through it, and then at that point you try to sell them for the next one, maybe with a discount. So let me know if you have any questions about making it simpler to make an offer and to get money in the door, because I'm sure I haven't thought of all of the ways. So if we don't have any questions, I will close down, and glad to be back. Bye-bye.